We're talking about peas, these little tiny green things. Now, my pea plants have disease. I will be attaching the video onto the end of this one so you guys can check out what that disease is and what I'm going to be doing with it. So what I'm going to discuss with you quickly is a couple of different ways you can preserve your peas. I won't be doing much in the way of demonstrating preserving my peas because I won't be getting a lot of the plants this year. Welcome to Little Patch. My name's Kim, and if you ever wanted to learn how to grow, preserve and use your own food, you're in the right spot. This community is here to help you guys learn how to do that. So hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with all the new videos that are going to be coming out over this coming season, and we will see you out in the garden, in the kitchen, in the pantry, or wherever we happen to be today. Peas, you need to be committed to peas. They are quite a lot of work. In this bowl here, I have just over 400 grams of peas, and it has taken me just over half an hour to shell these peas. It also took me about an hour in the garden this morning before the sun hit them. Is the best time to collect them because they are full of their sugars before the plant pulls it all back out of the peas and into the plant to grow for the day. Now, these take a lot of work, peas do. So if you're going to grow peas, be prepared for the work that goes into them. But in saying that there's a lot of work in them, they are so well worth it. They are so beautiful, they are sweet, and they actually taste like a pea. Not like the store-bought ones you get where they pretty much don't have a lot of flavour left in them. So these peas are going to be preserved very simply today because this is all I got out of the garden, and this is probably about one of probably 4 lots I'm going to get out of the garden before my plants succumb to the disease completely. You can dehydrate them, you can freeze them, which is what I'm going to be doing with these today. I'll explain that in a second. And you can also can them if you have a pressure canner. So if I was to have a large amount of peas coming out of my garden this year, I would have done a pressure canning video to show you how I would have preserved them if I was pressure canning them. But like I said, I'm not going to get a lot out of this garden this year for the peas. So I dehydrated a whole bunch of peas last year. They were good. They take a fair amount to rehydrate. So you need to make sure that you're rehydrating them well before you are going to cook with them. But they do come up quite nice. They can still be a bit chewy like any other thing that's dehydrated if it's not rehydrated properly. So you will be told that you need to blanch them. Yes, you technically should be blanching your peas, but because I am not going to be getting an awful lot of peas out of my garden, I am simply getting myself a bag, dumping my unblanched peas into it and putting that into the freezer. I have not washed these peas, so there is no moisture on them. I will continue to add to that bag of peas as the peas are coming in out of the garden, and they'll just all get mixed in the bag together, and they'll get used up really quickly. So yeah, so that is one way to very quickly preserve your peas. It is perfectly safe to be doing that on a short-term basis. Sometimes things can go into the freezer without being blanched, especially if it's only a small amount. I mean, this is not even quite half a kilo of peas here. So to go to an awful lot of time, which would probably take me about another half an hour to an hour to blanch these peas, it is just not worth it to do that. If I was getting 6 to 10 kilos of peas out of that garden that I know was going to last me 6 to 12 months, then I would look at pressure canning them, dehydrating some, and blanching to freeze them. So it is up to you guys to make that decision on how long these peas are going to sit in your freezer for. They will be fine in there for 3 to 4 months without any issues. So do it this way. If someone says you have to blanch them, you don't have to blanch them for short-term storage. So this is the total of the peas for the year. From the pea plants, a total of about 2.5 kilos. I have already used some out of this bag. I will link the video up the top for you guys to check out what I've used them for. So you can see that 2.5 kilos is not an awful lot of peas to get out of the garden. So for me to blanch them off, it would have been a huge amount of waste of time to bother doing it for that amount of peas. So these guys will definitely sit in the freezer for about 3 to 4 months before the freezer starts to affect them, but I'll have them used up before then. So guys, yes, you technically should be blanching them before you put them in the freezer, but if it's only for a short term of a couple of months, 4 months at the most maybe, you do not have to blanch your vegetables. But if you want them to be stored in the freezer for 6, 12 months, 18 months, definitely blanch them. Do your research on how long you need to blanch them for. There is lots of stuff out there on the internet. It's generally between 1 and 3 minutes, depending on the size of the pea itself. So guys, that was all I got out of this year's harvest, was 2.5 kilos.